to call upon Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe from India. Professor Anil Sahasrabudhe is the chairman of the All India Council for Technical Education since 2015. He's also the professor of mechanical engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati.
Conference that the Jindal Global University has organized just after the post-COVID, when the fears of the third wave are still lurking large on our minds. And that is where the online education, the education through the way we started happening in the March 2020 becoming more important. And just now, Professor Joseph Burke, had very beautifully explained about the challenges that lie ahead. And before that, Dr. Rajkumar himself and Professor Glass has also mentioned about the necessity of this conference at this hour. So I would like to reflect some of the things which earlier speakers have already spoken. One of them is about the way education is going to be carried out in the future. I think the pure classroom-based education is going to be now one of the areas which will continue to happen, but nevertheless, a lot of online things will start happening. And that is what we have learned. I was just reflecting way back in 2011 when Peter Norvig and Sebastian Thrun floated a course which was on artificial intelligence, a basic introduction to artificial intelligence. 160,000 students joined that course. And surprisingly, 20,000 students completed the course. Of course, today the rate of completion is much lower than what it used to be. So unless we make it interesting in an online mode, students will not be continuing to have that course continued. They will feel that, this is no use, and then they will go back. So online has many challenges. How do we really create a coursework in a manner that the interest is continued? And for that pedagogy, for that research, for that engaging with teachers as well as students is very important. A lot of research is required to be done for online education. And we talk today of blended learning or blended education, where part of the course can be in the online mode, part of the course, especially where there are laboratory classes or tutorials or interaction required, strong interaction, we may have to come back to the classrooms. And this is all what is happening during COVID time. In India, we had this new education policy also came in during the same time. They are both almost simultaneously. In the last 1.5 years, we have seen a lot of changes in the higher education sector, be it emphasis on multidisciplinarity. I'm sure Jindal Global University already has multidisciplinarity, but there has been a great emphasis on multidisciplinarity. No monodiscipline university or college should continue. They should graduate into multidisciplinary. And that is what is all education about. Dr. Rajkumar talked about our first education minister. Much before that, Swami Vivekananda had already said, education is nothing but to bring out the excellence already in man. And how do we bring it out? That is through the spirit of inquiry, inquisitiveness, questioning, and rational thinking. And that is all what science does actually. And therefore, in order to bring it to practice, our role of teachers day in and day out is going to become important, because this is what many teachers often ask us as a regulatory body. If everything is going to become online education, what will be the role of teachers? Role of teachers as mentors, role of teachers as people who will be able to support, identify talent and nurture it is going to become all the more important than ever before. And that is why we need to train our teachers also in this. And the policy also, our new education policy has a format where multiple exit, multiple entries also talked about. So any student of any background, how can he be empowered to come into education system in higher education, and then outcomes as are perceived through the education have to be achieved at the end of the program. So one of the classical things which we have started looking at is the National Educational Technology Forum, NEAT, under which already there are huge number of courses which are available, which are all artificial intelligence based, and they train the students depending on their earlier, whatever learning was there. Over and above that, how do they take them to the outcomes that are required or desired to be achieved at the end of the program? So some of them will continue and complete the program or course shorter duration, some will take longer duration. And that's why even in the education system, probably in the years to come, the programs which are of 2 years duration, 3 years duration, 4 years duration are likely to dissolve. And there will be a number of credits, a certain number of courses, credits, which a person has to achieve or get them. And that is what can happen through the academic bank of credits, which has already been inculcated. So a student may do it at his own pace. Someone having a faster pace may continue and complete the program course much faster than some others, and someone may take longer time. This is what is the flexibility, the freedom, not only for institutions, but for the pure stakeholder, that is the student, is also going to be possible through the NEP 2020. As far as governance structure is concerned, there has been a great emphasis on autonomy. This is self-governance. Unless institutions are given enough academic freedom to innovate and to have their own programs, their own choices of the way, nature of program that they would like to bring in, I think there would not be further research in those areas, no innovation can take place, and therefore flexibility and autonomy are very, very crucial. But nevertheless, despite this freedom and autonomy which is going to be given, people have to have their own, what we say, accountability. That is very, very important. And the policy talks about not only access, equity, along with that quality, but more important, accountability and affordability. And now the new education policy, when it is giving a lot of emphasis on online education, distance education, I'm sure affordability becomes much easier. So when the course which is created can be simultaneously be viewed and observed, and of students and in a classroom with 50 or 100 students, naturally the overheads will get reduced, and thereby affordability also comes into picture. And therefore, the COVID time has really energized us into innovating in the education sector, be it in terms of developing faculty, developing leadership, developing different variety of courses, pedagogical aspects, and I'm sure the future is very bright. Increasing the gross enrollment ratio from the present 27% to 50%, which is another area of concern, which the NEP 2020 has talked about in the next 10, 15 years. I'm sure all of these facets are going to have entry into the higher education system. But last but not the least, many times there have been discussions on skill education and general education. I think no general education is useful unless a person is skilled, and no skilled person will become useful and can rise in hierarchy without the general education. And therefore, this division as something as skilled education, something as general education also needs to be dissolved. And the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, which is coming in India, which has the elements of the general education as well as skill education. What earlier we used to have, what is known as NSQF, National Skill Qualification Framework, how that gets integrated into the higher education sector in the NHEQF is very significant and important, and easy mobility between skill education to general and the vice versa must be possible through the accumulation of credits of one type or the other, and then the award of the degrees. I think these are all exciting times. There are challenges, of course, in implementing all that theoretically what is being talked about, but we are all at it, and I'm sure in the coming days, a lot of transformation is going to happen in the Indian education system and can show the world that there are certain things which India can also contribute to the world as a Vishwa Guru. Thank you very much. Namaskar.